for joining us tonight. We have two speakers tonight joining us from Disability Rights California to speak to us this evening about Medi-Cal updates. Maria Garcia is going to be our main presenter this evening. Maria started working at Disability Rights California 18 years ago as an assistant patients' rights advocate with the California Office of Patients' Rights. While working for the California Office of Patients' Rights, she learned how to advocate for herself and for patients in state hospitals. In 2020, she joined the Peer Self-Advocacy Program as a coordinator. Maria currently facilitates peer self-advocacy groups at state hospitals and presents workshops for the community, like the one this evening. Teaching self-advocacy tools and skills equip group members to advocate for their rights and the services they need. She strives to help peers become their own advocates so they can make informed decisions about their mental health and avoid institutionalization. And joining her this evening to assist with question and answer is Senior Attorney Anuja Kumaria from Disability Rights California Healthcare and Home and Community-Based Services Unit. In the interest of time, we do ask that if you have a question to please put it in the chat, or you can save your question till the end and we will answer them out loud. So I am going to go ahead and spotlight our presenter, Maria, and hand it over to her for this presentation. And one more thing to note that I forgot to mention is that everything that Maria shares tonight will be shared along with the recording of this presentation by the end of the week. So while she won't be using a slideshow, all of the information will be shared. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Well, I'm Maria. My pronouns are she, her, ella in Spanish. And today we're going to talk about Medi-Cal and its upcoming changes. This is the second time I do this where I use a fact sheet instead of a PowerPoint. So bear with me if there's some technical issues, but the reason why I'm going to do this evening is so that you become familiar with the document that you're going to receive after the training. And if you have any questions or anything, you know where to find the information in the fact sheet. So it's going to be a very informal presentation where it's more like of a conversational about the document that we're going to go through. And if you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat, as Sophia stated, or in or at the end. We'll definitely get your questions. So let's begin. So it's important that I do say that this presentation is from a peer perspective, and it's not legal advice. So during this presentation, I cannot give you advice, but it's more informational, right? So you will learn about upcoming Medi-Cal coverage changes affecting people with disabilities, including people who have physical, developmental, intellectual disabilities, and those with mental health conditions, substance abuse disorders, and people receiving long-term care. And when will these changes take effect? They're going to be in 2026 and 2027. So this is what we're going to cover. So our table of contents includes what is Medicaid and what is Medi-Cal. So Medicaid is basically the big umbrella, right? The federal coverages, and then Medi-Cal is for the state of California, right? So we're going to dive into what those two are and why it's called Medi-Cal here in California. So Medi-Cal changes in 2026. So asset checks to determine eligibility. That's one of the changes that's going to take effect. And then coverage changes for immigration status. And And then in 2027, there's going to be a work requirement that expected to take place during this time, right? So, and we're also going to see how will this changes impact people with disabilities and or receiving long-term care. And how would this changes impact people receiving mental health services and substance abuse? And as you know now, the mental health services have been combined with substance use abuse under the umbrella of behavioral health services. And so let's begin with, sorry. Let's begin with what is Medicaid? So Medicaid is the US government program that provides health insurance or low-income individuals, low-income for individuals and families. So basically this is it's funded jointly by the federal and state government. So Medicaid is funded by the federal and state governments, with the federal government contributing a significant portion of the program's costs. Right, so Medicaid is the big umbrella in federal government, and Medi-Cal is California's version of Medicaid. It offers free, low-cost health coverage to eligible people who live in California. And this is overseen by the Department of Healthcare Services. And your local county office manages Medi-Cal cases for the Department of Healthcare Services. And I have here contact information. So if we scroll down, it says that you can reach your local county office via online service resources, or you can call your local county office to get information and services. So you can find your county office by clicking on that link when you get your materials, and you can also call the number for the Santa Cruz County Health and Human Services Office. You can contact that number and they'll tell you what your county office is. And the number is 888-421-8080. And then locations. I found some locations online that might help you find your county office, which is in Santa Cruz and in Watsonville. And now we're going to talk about what are some of the Medi-Cal changes in 2026. So asset check. So this assets pertain to things you own, right? And we're going to be talking about what those things can be later on. But this asset checks start January 1st, 2026. And Medi-Cal will conduct an asset check when applying or renewing, which is going to affect the eligibility based on asset limits. And then for immigration status, so coverage for immigration status, some adults will no longer be able to sign up for full scope Medi-Cal based on their immigration status, affecting those with a green card for less than 5 years. So I think that for green cards, if you have less than 5 years, to get a permanent card, you have to wait until after 5 years. So so there's a limit there, right, on the times. And then what are some of the medical changes in 2027? So work requirements. So a new federal law work requirement will be introduced, requiring most Medicaid recipients to spend at least 80 hours a month working, volunteering, or in school to maintain coverage. And we're going to go over who does the work requirements apply to in the presentation as well. So let's begin with medical asset checks for 2026. So what is an asset check? Assets are things you own that have monetary value. An asset check is a process where Medi-Cal will evaluate your assets to decide if you qualify for the program, right? So, and when does this start? It starts on January 2026. So the total assets value for anyone applying for a renewing Medi-Cal, the asset checks will apply to Medi-Cal members and applicants who are whose whole eligibility is based on age 65 plus, or who have a disability, either physical, mental, developmental, or long-term care needs. However, this does not apply to those individuals who get Medi-Cal based on their income. This means that individuals who qualify for medical based solely on their income, not on age, disability, or long-term care, are exempt from the new asset check. So it applies if you're age 65 plus with a disability, but it doesn't if you are if you qualify based on income. How can I own and still get free Medi-Cal? How much can I own and still get free Medi-Cal? Sorry. So the most you can own is 130,000 for one person, with an additional 65,000 for each extra person in the family, up to 10 people total. The return of the asset check reverses a 2024 elimination of these limits and could impact eligibility and long-term planning for Californians. So before 2024, I guess it wasn't, this wasn't really in effect, but now they're going to ask for your, for an asset check. And then what may be affected? Who may be affected? Sorry. Who may be affected? So people 65 and older who do not meet the asset limit. People with disabilities, physical, mental, developmental, intellectual, or substance abuse disorder. Those who live in nursing homes, those who are in a family that make too much money or to qualify under federal tax rules, and people receiving non-modified adjusted gross income, which is also known as MAGI, M-A-G-I, benefits impacting those seeking long-term care, such as IHSS and other related programs. So I have the definition here of what non-MAGI adjusted gross income is. So this is the most common form of Medi-Cal. It uses tax rules to see if you qualify. So let me see if I have anything on my notes. So some of the related programs could be like in-kind income, food, shelter that a person receives from another person living in the home, which are assigned to cash value, or it could be other types of earning income wages. So those are some examples, right? And those who receive IHSS. And then in-home supportive services. This program helps pay for house cleaning, meal preparations, laundry, personal care, and protective supervision. So those are other programs that will be affected. And then who needs to report assets? So starting January 1, 2026, the following Medi-Cal members and new applicants will need to report asset information. So it will be age older, adult 65 plus years of age, disability, physical, mental, or developmental, intellectual, people with long-term care needs. So if you're age 65, you have a disability or long-term care needs, you would need to report this assets, right? And what assets will count? There will be the bank accounts, cash, or if you have more than one house or vehicle, which means that what will not count is the home you live in, one vehicle, household items, and some savings and like retirement accounts. Okay, so some savings like retirement accounts won't count. Then who does not need to report? So if you receive Medicaid through the Affordable Care Act adult expansion population, meaning based on your income alone, the new asset limit does not apply to you. And then for more detailed information, you can refer to the official Medi-Cal resources or contact your county Medi-Cal office. Medi-Cal coverage changes for immigrants in 2026. So starting January 2026, some adults will no longer be able to sign up for full scope Medi-Cal coverage based on their immigration status. So there's two, we're gonna go over what's satisfactory immigration status and what is unsatisfactory immigration status. But let's start with the satisfactory immigration status. So this is, these people are eligible for Medi-Cal, the ones that have satisfactory immigration status. You are a US citizen or a national, or you are a non-citizen who has an immigration status that allows eligibility for federally funded coverage Medi-Cal. So some examples include lawful permanent residents, green card holders who are exempt from or who have met the 5-year waiting period, refugees and asylees. So US citizens and lawful permanent residents who have met 5-year waiting period, or refugees and asylees. This persons have satisfactory immigration status. And then what is considered an unsatisfactory immigration status that will prevent you from being eligible for full scope Medi-Cal? So you're considered to have an unsatisfactory immigration status if you cannot verify one of the recognized immigration statuses that qualify for federally funded full coverage Medi-Cal. Unsatisfactory immigration status applies if you have a deferred action for childhood arrivals, which is known as DACA, DACA. If you are in the US on a visitor visa, student visa, or temporary work visa, unless under age 21. If you have applied for a U visa, but it hasn't been granted yet. And a U visa is visa for victims of certain crimes. So if you currently receive Medi-Cal with a unsatisfactory immigration status, you stay covered. Will you stay covered or lose your coverage starting 2026? So if you already have Medi-Cal, you can stay covered no matter your immigration status. That's if you still have it. So starting July 1 or July 1st, 2027, those adults with unsatisfactory immigration status still on Medi-Cal will have a $30 monthly premium. If you miss paying premiums for 90 days, you will lose full scope Medi-Cal coverage. To take your Medi-Cal, to keep your Medi-Cal, you must fill out your renewal for every year. Still meet the Medi-Cal rules like income and living in California. Use your benefits and renew on time. So pay premiums when they go into effect in July 2027. So this is very important that you take note of this, that if you're receiving, currently receiving Medi-Cal, you have a $30 monthly premium, but you also need to renew every year and follow the rules, right? The medical rules, meet the Medi-Cal rules and pay the premiums, right? So if your Medi-Cal ends, you have 90 days to fix the problem and keep your coverage. If you miss the 90-day window, you won't be able to get full scope Medi-Cal again. You can only apply for restricted Medi-Cal, which covers emergency care, pregnancy-related care, and nursing home care. And if you would like more information, visit the Department of Healthcare Services, Adult Immigrants Enrollment Freeze, and they'll have more information for you there. And then our next question is, what are dental benefits changing for those with unsatisfactory immigration status? So what are the changes in those dental benefits? Yes, starting July 1st, 2026, adults 19 and older with unsatisfactory immigration status will lose their non-emergency dental coverage. Children under 19 and pregnant people will continue to receive full dental coverage no matter their immigration status. And so now we're going to go to work rules. 2027 for adults 19 to 64 years old. So starting January 1st, 2027, some adults will need to work, volunteer, or go to school for 80 hours a month to get or keep Medi-Cal. How will you know if this new work rules apply to you? So the county medical office will send you a letter who this applies to. Medi-Cal members and people applying for who are age 19 to 64 years old and are a part of the Affordable Care Act adult Medicaid expansion population, meaning that you get Medicaid based on your income. If you qualify for Medicaid through an aging or disability pathway, like via supplemental security income, work requirements do not apply to you and don't meet any of the expectation of the exemptions listed directly below. So if you don't meet any of the exemptions below, this new work rules do not apply to you. So if you so exemptions, this new work or volunteer rules do not apply to you. So it's children 0 to 18 ages, ages 0 to 18, older adults 65 plus, pregnant people including 1 year postpartum regardless of birth outcome, parents who's with children 13 years of age or younger, caregivers of people with disabilities of any age, people who are medically frail, people with serious health or mental health conditions or substance use problems, people who were released from jail or prison within the last 90 days, people on Medicare, Part A or Part B, Native Americans or Alaska Natives, and foster youth or former foster youth under age 26. So these are the exemptions for the work requirements. And what happens if I am required to work, volunteer, go to school, and I do not do so? So the answer is you could lose your Medi-Cal, right? If this happens, if you choose not to work, volunteer, or go to school. What should I do to keep up to date with the work rules? So according to the Department of Healthcare Services, when you get a letter from the Medi-Cal, open it right away and respond quickly to show how you are meeting the work rules. You should expect to report this information at application and every redetermination every 6 months. And Medi-Cal will send more information before this rule starts, including ways to help you meet the rules. So, and then how will Medi-Cal changes directly impact people receiving mental health and substance use disorder services? So federal spending cuts that have passed have an impact on Medicaid and could halt some of the behavioral health services that are in place and make less funding available for newer programs. Although the new California behavioral health policies are not explicitly tied with Medicaid, many state and local mental health programs draw funding from it. Less Medicaid money means less money for behavioral health services. Mental health advocates, health plans, and county officials have stated that Medicaid funding cuts will result in more sick people going without treatment. They will increase the likelihood of those losing employment or dropping off out of school and ending in need of more acute care or worse on the street. So I guess it won't affect our eligibility, but it would affect us in the services that are available out in the community. How to keep your Medi-Cal. So let's go over ways that you can make sure that you don't lose that or that you continue on receiving the coverage. So according to the Department of Healthcare Services, members affected by the new rules will get letters by mail, text, or email. Make sure your county medical office has your updated contact information. Keep your contact information updated so you don't miss important notices. Watch your mail and respond quickly to Medi-Cal renewal packets or letters from your health plan or local county office. Know your renewal date so you can renew your Medi-Cal online or work with your local county medical office if you do not receive notifications. Keep going to the doctor and other medical appointments and ask about available telehealth services. Visit the Department of Healthcare Services website and follow them on their social media channels for updates. And ask questions if you're unsure from your local county Medi-Cal offices. That would be the best resource that you can have, right? If you have any questions. I put down some resources that you might want to look at. If and read more about this changes and the information from where we provided this information from, where it came from. So the resources are there at the bottom. There's one with the Department of Healthcare Services, health coverage in California. The next one is older adults and people with disabilities. Long-term care justice advocacy. What will asset limit be? What is the non-MAGI, M-A-G-I Medi-Cal? What is in-home support services? And what Medi-Cal members need to know. So those are resources that you can search if you have additional questions from this training. So this is the information that I have on the fact sheet. Now I'll open it up to questions that you might have about the information that was presented, and we can have a conversation about this. So
Thank you so much, Maria, for all of that information. I found myself asking questions and then you were immediately answering them in the next section. So I appreciate your being detail oriented.
okay.
And
Thank
yes,
you.
please, if anyone has a question, you can either unmute yourself, speak out loud, or if you're not comfortable doing that, you can type it in the chat.
Hi, everyone. This is Anuja Kumaria from DRC. I just wanted to thank Maria for giving the presentation and overview of the changes as we know them. I did want to just give one caveat, which is that the presentation does cover some of the changes as we know them right now. It's based on the budget reconciliation bill that was passed in the summer, but it is, constantly changing. The rules are constantly changing. They're not fully fleshed out yet. I think the government agencies, they're all trying to define things as they are happening. And so we won't have a lot of information until after some of these changes go into effect or closer to those dates. And so, January 1, 2026 is coming up. However, with the government shutdown currently, a lot of things can still change. So just wanted to give that caveat that this is the landscape of what changes are upcoming, but things could change in the future. And if you want to stay up to date about what changes are happening, I would encourage you to contact Disability Rights California for updated information. Maria, did we have I think at the bottom of the fact sheet, there is information on how to contact Disability Rights California.
Yes, I can put the number on the chat.
Nathan, I see you have your hand up. You can go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, everyone. I've got like 5 questions, so I was wondering if you want me to wait to the end because I have quite a few.
No, go for it.
Okay, the first one's on Native American exemption and status. So the tribe I'm from is from Mexico, but they're from the Southwest region. Most of them have been exterminated, and so there's only unrecognized bands. There's only one recognized, federally recognized group in Arizona. And so I'm just wondering the process or protocol that's going to be associated with that. So unfortunately, I'm assuming they're just going to do a hard cutoff saying if you're not federally recognized, then you're not included in that exemption.
So thanks, Nathan. I think, is this related to the question about work exemptions?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so somebody else in the chat had a question as well about what is considered a serious mental health disorder. And unfortunately, I know this is not a great answer, but we don't have much guidance yet on what each of these categories specific rules would be. I think this is about the vaguest information we have as to what categories might be considered exempt from the work requirements. It's a developing area. It's going to take effect in 2027. So I think but from now until then, we'll have a little bit more information. So at the current moment, we don't have so much information as to what you're asking about the hard cutoff on certain groups.
Okay. Well, my 30 years plus of having negative interactions with government bureaucracies and agencies has been dismal. And in traditional protocols and or priority associated with particular groups and or cutoffs, for example, like not meeting certain qualifications or parameters, I'm assuming that they're going to require blood quantum, meaning they're going to want you to have a federally recognized tribal ID number, and you're going to have to reach blood quantum for that particular group or depending on this explicit group specifications. Unfortunately, that's what I think they're going to do. Also, I'm in the process of appealing and trying to gain disability at the same time. And according to the disability segment or section for what qualifies or what's a clear distinction, I'm assuming they're going to do the same thing, meaning that if you're not getting SSI, then you are not going to fall within the parameters of receiving that exemption. Unless you are clearly defined as legally disabled, you will not be exempt from these terms and conditions. Um, yeah, that's just my insight from my experience. And like I said, I'm going through the appeals process right now for disability, and it's been very arduous. And I'm on my second lawyer, and I'm very lucky and blessed to have a legal team that's still supporting me in this because unfortunately it has not been very fruitful. My third question is uh, services, CalFresh, EBT, um, other types of therapies, and or for example, GA, general assistance. Certain programs have explicit cutoffs. So, for example, GA used to have an explicit cutoff that you were not allowed to go to school, you were not allowed to volunteer, and or you were not allowed to perform certain gainful function activity more than 15 hours. I think it was a week. So if you were to, like you were suggesting, or like they're suggesting on the cutoff point requiring 20 hours, I'm wondering if they're going to readjust or if they're doing that on purpose. So that way, when and if they call it the cutoff point, meaning that if you were to do that gainful activity of those 20 hours, you would then disqualify yourself from receiving those other support systems unless you were part of the exemption. And so, yeah, I'm just wondering, but I know for general assistance, I've been disqualified before prior for general assistance because of a gainful functional activity, i.e., going to school, volunteering. But I can't remember exactly, but I believe it was like 15 hours. So if you were to do 15 hours or less, you would be qualified for those services. But if you were to do 15 hours or more, i.e., the 20 hours required per week for the 80 hours a month, you would then be disqualified from those services. But these are just hypotheticals, but I'm assuming that this is what they're going to be doing or how they're going to be enacting these certain, filtration mechanisms. The other one is my other question, call the car services. Is call the car services going to be impacted or is it going to be modified in any way, shape, or form? Because I'm currently going to Stanford. I'm going to UCSF for cancer care. and I'm highly dependent on call the car services, and I would not be able to afford nor be able to travel the distance consistently as I do when I have to go to Stanford. If you know about that. And then the other one was the telehealth. And because, for example, because I cannot make the distance every single time because of the cancer care and the doctors that I see, I have a plethora of different doctors and providers. I see a lot of them associated via telehealth that are not, that do not constitute as mental health providers or that are not part of the mental health category. And so I'm wondering if that is also going to be covered. Thank you.
Anuja, do you have any answers for those questions?
Um, I didn't remember the third question, but the fourth and fifth question were about call the car and telehealth services. And, um, there haven't been specific changes to those programs. That wasn't outlined in any of the budget cuts specifically towards that. But I think we can anticipate, some indirect effects of the budget getting, Medicaid cuts taking effect when Medicaid loses some of the pot of money, some of these other services may be directly impacted. And it's hard to know because they haven't outlined that in the specific cuts that were taking effect. But because, Medicaid is just one pot of money, they may, the state of California may see that call the car services or telehealth is where they want to, take some money and put it in another area. So we don't have an answer for that yet as to whether that's going to be affected, but I think you can anticipate that some changes will take effect. And um, if that does happen, hopefully there'll still be, appeal rights if you're terminated from those kinds of programs. But yeah, as changes take effect, we will definitely keep everybody informed.
I see Mike has a question.
Yeah, thank you. And this is back to the comment on the telehealth. I thought there was a change that was going to eliminate the ability to do telehealth calls, and you would have to do in-person calls visits every 6 months to continue your eligibility. Is that uh, is that a change that you're familiar with, or maybe is valid?
Well, actually, the Department of Healthcare Services, yeah, on their website, actually, they say that I'm trying to find it here on the thing so I can say exactly what they said. They said to continue asking for the telehealth care services. So I don't think they're going to be totally eliminated or that you won't be able to use them. But like Anuja said, there's a lot of things that we are not sure about yet. So, but I would say continue using them.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Nathan?
Yeah, thank you again. My other question that I remembered was IHSS. So I currently receive IHSS service hours, and it's critical to my care and my support. And I don't know what I would do without them. So I don't know if they're going to be cutting them. I know that they've limited them already. I think they've tried to limit them to like 60 or 80 hours a week or something like that per worker, and that's per sorry company or entity. So like if you have multiple people you provide for, you're only allowed those 60 to 80 hours maximum. But yeah, I have IHSS, and I'm really dependent on those services, and so I'm just wondering if and when there's going to be changes to that, or if they're going to completely nix those programs as well.
I haven't heard anything about it affecting IHSS, but have you, Anuja?
No, and there was another question in the chat as well, about any additional information about how these changes may affect individuals who are receiving IHSS services. And what I said there is that the Medi-Cal eligibility rules will still apply to be able to receive IHSS. So as long as you qualify for Medi-Cal after the asset test changes go into effect, after the immigration status changes go into effect, as long as you continue to qualify for Medi-Cal, you'll be eligible for IHSS as well. There's not any direct changes to the IHSS program just yet. Like I mentioned, there might be some indirect changes that could result due to the budget cuts, such as perhaps we might start seeing more denials and terminations for those who receive IHSS, but that's only a guess, based on how the patterns we see when funding is restricted in Medicaid. But there's no direct changes to IHSS just yet.
Okay, thank you. And that won't be in effect until 2027, at least that part, or would it be in 2026 of January?
2026 January is when the asset test goes into effect. So if that impacts your eligibility for Medi-Cal, then it could affect IHSS in 2026. The work requirements rule is the one changing in 2027.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, Mike, you have a question?
Yeah, just something that was in the chat. The question I think I asked was, when does everybody need to submit their asset information as of January 1st? And the response was only when your renewal comes up or your review comes up. I believe that was the answer. And I just wanted to, put that out for the whole audience in case they didn't see the chat. So, you don't have to prepare right now for that event until you get information requesting that as part of a review. Thank you.
Yes. Mhm. Thank you. Any other questions that anybody might have? Thank you for your participation and for being here today. I think we all have a lot of uncertainties about where this is going, where the changes are going, but I'm glad that you're informing yourselves and that we're able to provide this information for you.
Yes, and I just want to also add one last thing, which is that none of these changes have gone into effect yet. So, any benefits you're currently receiving, like Maria has said, continue to receive them. Don't voluntarily, take yourself off of any programs, or continue to renew as you get the renewals, continue to attend all appointments, submit all of the paperwork that's necessary, because we just don't know where this is headed. But at the same time, when the changes do take effect, they're rolling, and DHCS and Medi-Cal will most likely notify you with a notice, or a letter letting you know if you've been impacted by a change. So I wouldn't voluntarily, preemptively change anything about what you're already getting.
Yes, I agree.
Sorry to interrupt, Maria. I was going to say that I do see one question in the chat. Perhaps we can answer it out loud. Do we know exactly what types of accounts are not going to be factored in for asset liability?
I can try to find that information. there used to be an asset test in the past. 2024 is the first time California had removed the asset test. So there's been an asset test for a very, very long time. And so those same rules about what is considered an asset and what is not will be reinstated. So I'm pretty sure there is some information out there as to what qualifies as an account that is considered for the asset test. I can try to find it and put it in the chat or share it with Sophia, who can then share it with everybody.
Thank you. And thank you both for taking the time to answer these questions and offer this information on a topic that deeply affects our community, like you said. We really appreciate it. And there are some thank yous coming in the chat as well. I want to make sure that you know that we all appreciate you being here.
No.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Yes,
Great.
very informative, very clear. Thank you.
Great professionalism. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
If there are no more questions, I invite you to stick around. We do have some time, so if a question comes up, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, if you do leave the meeting, you'll be redirected to a page with our survey, and I would really appreciate if you could let us know if this presentation was helpful for you, and you can also give suggestions about what topics you'd like to hear about in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and I'll send the information to Sophia so she may distribute to all of you. And thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so have a good night.
For those who are still here, I do see a question in the chat. If you are over 70 and have a retirement account from which you are receiving periodic payments of principal and interest, then that account will not count. I think this is more of a statement than a question, actually. So thank you. And Nina, thank you so much for all of this helpful information you've been putting in the chat. I've noticed that you are giving a wealth of information on this, so I appreciate that.
Yes, Nina, thank you. How do you know so much information? I'm curious.
Oh, I work for the County of Santa Cruz, the Human Services Department, and
Okay,
I'm the
that
Medi-Cal
helps.
analyst. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that
there you
helps.
go.
Wonderful.
Glad to have you for clarification. If there's
Thank you.
anything that you want to clarify that we said as well, please go ahead.
There was a little bit of a discrepancy in describing the unsatisfactory immigration status people. They're basically the people that became covered due to the various expansions that have taken place in the last few years. So the people that already were getting full scope coverage are going to continue to qualify for full scope coverage. It's just that as of, when is it? October 1st of 2026, the federal government is going to change the definition of a qualified non-citizen to no longer count like refugees and asylees and things. So it's only going, the qualified non-citizen for federal funding, so aid codes that are federally funded, is only going to include legal permanent residents and certain Cuban, Haitian immigrants, and the Compacts of Free Association, COFA immigrants. So that's the Marshall Islands, Micronesia, Palau, places like that. But it's going to exclude conditional entrants, parolees, asylees, refugees, battered non-citizens, like the TC-VAP population, DACA, lawfully present children under 21. But those people, California is going to continue aiding on California's dime. So that may change over time, but right now, if you fall under the category of what used to be federally funded, we may have to end up changing your aid code to a state funded aid code, but they will still continue to receive full scope. So that was a little bit misleading on the UIS slide, because the UIS people are the ones that, if you remember, first we started to aid people under 19, and then we expanded it to people under 26, and then we expanded it to 50 and over, and then finally January 1st of, I think it was 2024, we expanded it so that everyone 26 to 50, everybody, no matter your immigration status, could get full scope. So it's those people to whom we had expanded coverage, who are 19 and over, that are the UIS population. So those are the ones that are going to suddenly lose dental July 1st of 2026 and start to have to if they apply after January 1st of 2026, they will only qualify for a restricted scope. So, the LPR under 5 years, all of that, that's still going to get full scope coverage, but it may not be federally funded.
That's very good to know. Thank you.
And Anuja, or maybe Maria too, if you can share your email address with me. I put my email address in a direct message to Anuja. So if you want to email me, I can share some materials that I shared with our staff here, just trying to explain the upcoming changes. And, not to say that I know more than you do, because I don't. I mean, you have a lawyer on your staff, so, Anuja, you're going to be able to interpret all this stuff better than I can. I'm not a lawyer, but I have been doing Medi-Cal for 22 years, so it's kind of under my belt, and I can maybe help clarify certain things. And you are so correct in reiterating over and over again that these changes are not set in stone per se. Like, all of the little in the weeds details about the changes are not yet published. So the guidance that we can provide even to our staff here at the county is equally vague. So thank you for making that caveat.
Thank you, Nina. Yes, I would love to stay in touch and share whatever information we have. I think Genevieve might have a question.
Indeed, I do. Thank you for your time, everyone. I have hello. I have a I've got a question about the. I think I heard it correctly, but I'm a visual learner, so I'm gonna wait till I look at the slide deck. But I just thought that maybe I'd ask. I think there was at some point a new requirement. You told us about a new requirement, and then said that people with disabilities, or no, I think it was people who have Medicare Part A, I believe it was, does not have to fall in line with the new restriction. But again, it's been a long day, so my mind is pretty fuzzy, and I apologize.
That was mentioned in the work rules for 2027. The exemptions for work rules, which says people on Medicare Part A and Part B. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it says that it does not apply. The work rules do not apply to recipients of the Medicare Part A and Part B.
So, just to check for understanding on my end, I receive SSDI. So I have Medicare through SSDI. I would not then be subject to the work requirement. Is that correct?
That is correct. The work requirements are people who are the adult expansion on the Magi, so people with the M1 or M2 aid code. So if you are federally disabled and receiving disability benefits from Social Security, then you would be non-Magi, and this work requirement rule wouldn't apply to you.
Okay. Thank you so much for clearing that up. Nina, were you the one who works in the Santa Cruz Medi-Cal?
Yes.
I wonder if I might have a quick question. I just recently moved into the county after the passing of a loved one. And so I changed my address and was told that I would get reached out to by Santa Cruz County for changing that over. Is that isn't like being affected at all by the government shutdown, is it?
No. Medi-Cal is through the state of California. I mean, that's why it's even called Medi-Cal, because it's so different from the federal Medicaid that California had to kind of give it its own name. So no, Medi-Cal is still in full swing. But if you moved between counties, we may need to transfer your case from one county to another, and that's usually a seamless process. You would just need to let the county know, whichever county you're active in, that you have a new address. And if it's a different county, then we can do an inter-county transfer, and it's fairly seamless.
Okay, I got a call from the Monterey County people, which is my previous county, saying that, confirming the change. So I think it's in the works.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your expertise and your time and your passion here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Genevieve, for being here. You always ask such insightful questions, whether personal or for the community, when you're at these speaker meetings. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Sophia. It's great to see you.
Yeah, you too. Good to see your face.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Nathan.
Bye. All right. Well, if there are any last questions. All right. Thank you so much again, Maria and Anuja, for being here and for sharing your expertise, as everyone has said. Deeply appreciate it. And yes, for those who are still here, I will be sending out an email to everyone who's registered for this meeting, and that will have the link to the recording as well as all the resources that were shared here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good
Bye.
evening. Bye.